We have a pigeon that lives in our garage during the day.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real.
So this is a real pigeon.
It's a real pigeon.
So not.
Her name is David.
A pigeon.
Yeah.
Her name is David, who lives in your garage by day?
Yeah.
Okay.
By night, she goes to another neighbor's house and sleeps on top of one of their lamps.
Okay.
They're outdoor lights.
David, the garage pigeon.
David, the garage pigeon.
All right. Good to know. All right. So wow, this is a fun episode. So the question. Other than toil, tears, pain, and
a garage pigeon.
What?
He wrecked the garage.
Of course he did.
Of course she
did. Dang it.
She did. So what is it that keeps you here? What have you really found here? Within Queer Meals, what is
I'll close my ears.
Oh.
It's great because before, when I came out in Pleasant Grove, Utah, which is also in the same valley as Provo, I couldn't find the queer community. I didn't really know where it was. I was involved with Provo Pride, I think, before you guys even moved here, and it was still difficult because everything was kind of happening in Provo, and back then it was also if you were under 21, it was kind of more exclusionary towards that because they do events at bars.
Not anymore.
Yeah. You're right. Not anymore. It's gotten better since I was a part of it, and it was still just barely beginning, and a lot of people didn't know about it. And so it's been nice. All of a sudden, it's I'm in Queer People Central for the entire valley, and I get to meet lots of people who come over here and they might identify as gay or as asexual or as somewhere else on the gender spectrum outside of the binary, and so it's really great to be able to get to meet all these people that I was searching for all my life and couldn't find them because they kind of have to be hidden here a lot more because of the huge Mormon presence. And so I love that I'm just connected to the community. I'm in the middle of everything, and I've got
pool party
adopted parents.
You
here.
do have adopted parents. How many people have we adopted?
Oh, Lord.
Too bad you can't claim them on your taxes, right?
Right. Well, they're all adults, so we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. So, the purpose of this podcast certainly is not to cast shame upon any church or anything.
Sure.
But, to recognize that there's an entire community that is in search of fellowship and that common bond and that common interest. And myself being in higher education and preparing teachers to go into schools that are going to, teach these students, all of these students who identify as gay or straight, binary, non-binary, despite our belief system, the way we were raised, whatever, we've got to be able to still provide the same level of compassion, care, learning experiences that we would for any other student. And so I, just really ensuring that it's a safe learning environment for all students. And I know for myself, being a former teacher in public schools, it hasn't been a safe place. And physical education hasn't been a safe place. And I tried, as much as I could to create that learning environment, but you're always going to have the student that will put another student down by, oh, you faggot, you dropped the ball, or something like that, where they're just, it's really, you're gonna put that label on somebody because they made a mistake. And they, making these comments without even thinking about what's coming out of their mouth, and or even just thinking about, and now the big push is with proper pronouns and things like that, and my right hand is up. I admit, I have so much to learn. I have so much to learn. So I guess let's transition to the educational perspective, knowing, kind of where you come from, April, and Jerilyn, I know what kind of educational experiences you had because we had the same ones. But Jeff, he was a little older, but I definitely want to pull him in. And so let's talk about that. What were your experiences like in phys ed and health, particularly in those two classes, April? Like, what was it like growing up, being who you were, and feeling so different in your classes, in your PE and your health classes?
I mean, I didn't come out to myself until I was 16, and then I slowly kind of started to trickle and come out to other people. But in high school, it did feel very much like an unsafe zone because I know I ran the numbers once, and I figured it was around 50% of the people in my high school were active in the Mormon LDS seminary, and went to their classes throughout the day.
Feels like a low percentage for Pleasant Grove.
Yeah.
So is that how you spent your school day? You were counting the kids, he goes, he goes, he goes. No. Is that how you spent your school days?
I think that I mean, I got those numbers from looking at when you sign up for classes.
Oh, okay.
And estimating that off of the school.
Oh, that's right, because with the seminary, they go at the lunchtime, right? Or something. There's that class or something. Or I know
you can go all during the day. You get what's called a released period, where you're released from the school to attend this other class.
Right.
And then, so it's not just at lunch.
I remember being in high school and
at lunch.
Yeah. You guys would all the kids would take off.
Around here, it's always it corresponds with your schedule. So you might go to seminary during B2 or A4. It corresponds to the A and B day schedule.
Well, let's not get caught in the weeds of numbers.
But I know that just PE in high school, I think I had to take one semester of just a general PE class, and it was very much you don't talk about that. You don't let anybody know that you think you're gay. You don't talk about that. And I didn't really ever do sports. I'm not flexible. I'm not naturally strong in any sort of way. I did technical theater in high school. That was my sport, I guess you could say. And
you'd fit in well in my family.
Oh, good. But I didn't fit in well in PE. I'd hang out with the loser kids, the ones who...
And those were air quotes.
Yeah.
Around the loser kids.
Mm-hmm. We were the ones who were just naturally bad at everything that the teacher had us do, all the sports. We didn't have the muscles or the stamina to really be good at anything, and we get yelled at all the time of why aren't you trying harder? I'm trying as hard as I can, but I'm just not good at this. And so I just got used to it, and just in high school in general, I kind of fell into that group of just not super good at things.
Do you recall what you got as a grade?
I never got A's in any of my PE classes. It was always C for effort, kind of, because I just didn't do a good job at things, which was not really my fault. So.
Well, there's a lot of kids that don't do anything; they still get A's. It's wait. So
I have to go back, like I said.
Yeah, Jeff, let's talk about that. So I want to definitely come back to you, April, and talk about some other experiences, within health class and how that may have been. But Jeff, you're Black Tornado class of 1980. What?
81 is when
80.
I actually graduated because they made me come back and do PE. I didn't have any PE credits, so I did jiu-jitsu. I did regional finals. I got a bronze medal and stuff, and I showed them that, and I go remember
the bronze medal. You said I got a bronze medal.
Well, I showed that I was going to jiu-jitsu all the time and that I was active in a physical exercise thing. But they wouldn't count that. They wanted me to go to actual school to do it. So I went back and took ping pong and badminton. Yay!
And then you got your diploma.
Yes, and then I got a diploma. So
So
the minimum requirements. It was very difficult to pass with a 1.0. I passed with a 1.0.
Wow.
I did okay in college, but in high school I was busy working. I went and I was doing stuff, and I went in the Navy and said screw it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, badminton, ping pong, did that prepare you to go into the Navy physically fit? Were you all...
Kicked ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's probably a lot of jiu-jitsu, though, right?
I practiced stuff, man. I even did pull-ups. They didn't make me do a single pull-up in boot camp. Not one.
Well, they're more concerned with whether or not you can tread water for like 5 minutes, right?
Oh, I can swim like a dickens, yeah. I can swim fine.
So, now...
Funny.
Now, Jeff, as we're eating breakfast, you shared the mid-high experience,
yeah.
And so for those of you that aren't familiar with the geographics of Medford, Oregon, in the mid '80s, we had a mid-high and a senior high. So the mid-high was 9th and 10th grade, and then
Junior highs.
and 2 junior highs, McLaughlin and Hedrick. I was Hedrick. Where'd y'all go?
I went to McLaughlin.
Oh. Across the tracks.
I know, right?
West side, baby.
All of our kids ended up in McLaughlin now. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we the mid high was the 9th and 10th, senior high was 11th and 12th. Share with me that when we won't share names, but the experience you had.
The teacher called out the names on I think it must have been like the first, maybe second day that they called out names to say who was here
for like roll call.
Roll call, yeah. And the guy said Sess, and I knew he was talking about me. And I just said, here, shut him right up. He didn't do it again.
Yeah, so...
I looked right at him and said, here, because I just soon cut you and look at you.
Now, let's just kind of put the two names together. Yeah. So, your last name is Pool.
Yeah.
And the teacher...
Called me Cesspool.
Cesspool.
Yeah.
At mid-high.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward about 5 years. Being in phys ed, we're playing Hawaiian football. Remember Hawaiian football? You have 4 downs to make a touchdown, pass it as many times as you want.
Hawaiian 5-0.
The best. But, a girl had to touch the ball, every scoring drive. So, here, Jerilyn, touch the ball.
Yeah.
I would get so pissed, like, you know what? Throw me the ball. And it's like, but... My mid-high experience, we're playing Hawaiian football, and we're picking teams. And we had this boy in our class that had Down syndrome, and his name was Lester. And so he's picking teams. They're trying to figure out where everybody's going. He says, Molester, you're over on that team. And I just thought, wow. I was 13, 14, 15. I was a young kid when I was in high school. Graduated when I was 17. And even then, and I like to think that
I was ahead of you.
I was like, I would like to think despite all of my, jerkiness and disrespectful natures and just, I'd still like, at my core, I'm a decent human being, and I was just blown away by that man. It's like, molester? Really? And then to hear your story, 40 years later, it's like, wow.
He's got issues, man.
Yeah, and so these are teachers who are teaching students.
Yeah, he's probably got a nice car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I know he does actually. But but it's insane how teachers feel like their humor, and I've got a pretty out there sense of humor. But when they just think that it's okay to just drop those little nuggets of just, what do you even call it? Just disrespect and lack of...
Trying to teach me is that humor is supposed to be punching up.
Yes, it punches up on power structures, not down on the rest of people.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be beating folks down, and so that was definitely a Medford PE experience that stuck out in my mind, and to hear you have basically the same one at the same school, it's just
the same dude.
Probably the same dude.
Yeah.
It's just unreal, and now for me being in higher ed, wanting to train teachers, it's like, if you're going to use humor, use it to build people up and really, make a difference in the class, learning environment, but not, to destroy folks. And so I guess that's a nice segue. Destroying folks.
Destroying folks. Yeah. That's what the church is doing. They're destroying folks, man. I'm not talking like Jesus would. Jesus wouldn't say those kind of things.
Right.
He'd be very inclusive.
But we're talking about high school PE. So.
Oh, we're talking about high school PE.
Yeah, high school PE.
Jesus would have kicked ass in high school.